How's it going, guys? Corey Margera here, new episode. And I just saw a video from somebody who I am not a fan of. You know, I'm really not a fan of his, but, he made a really good video about how he's basically, he feels like he's out of place in this world. He feels like, he's and really the way he described it is exactly how I feel. you know Now, granted, my story is a little different from his, but I can completely relate to what he's going through. you know um I don't think I've said this on this channel. I don't even think I said it on my Fast and Furious 450 channel. But, you know, growing up, I was just somebody who, you know, I was very introverted. I was very much of somewhat of a loner. I wasn't what you would consider, guy who got picked on. You know, I wouldn't say that I got bullied, but I did have a problem with a few kids who just so happened to be black and Hispanic, which is one of the reasons why, you know, when I make my videos about how I am not for black power and I don't give a shit about black power, like all this, these pro black people and shit like that, this is probably why. But, it's really, and no, I'm not saying, I don't want anybody being stupid and saying like, "Oh, you hate all black people, you hate all Hispanic people." No, 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 no. Shut up. That is not what I am saying. Obviously, some people are just stupid. But, growing up, I had, you know, my my close clique of friends who, they were into things like, Dragon Ball Z, Yu-Gi-Oh. We were all into Pokemon at one time. Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Power Rangers Zeo, which was when I stopped watching it. We were all into like wrestling, pro wrestling, WWF, WCW. I was probably the only person who ever watched ECW out of all of us. And, because it was funny, because what happened was because this is how I found it. I basically found out from my older cousin who was, he was into ECW. He was into the original ECW, EC fucking W. And, he got me into it because he was like, "You really think that that's badass? You really think WWF Attitude is that badass, man? You should watch this shit." And, he turned me on to the original ECW. And he's literally not even my favorite cousin because he is really hood. He's really into that, but he, like, when he was right, I mean, we were not like enemies or anything like that. We were not like, I hated him, he hated me. It was nothing like that, but he was really rough around the edges type of dude. Just to give you an example of what kind of guy he was like. He was a real rough around the edges type of dude. He was into like when ECW was popular, he was into that. He was into like, rap. He was into Grand Theft Auto. He was into like Jerry Springer. He actually he was showing us porn before I started watching it regularly. Not he was a real rough dude, man. He was And the thing is, he's still like that today, but he's kind of calmed down a bit. I haven't seen him in a few years. Well, from what last time I've seen him, he was still a rough dude. He was still drinking and going, partying and shit. He was doing a lot of stuff, you know, and basically, you know, I'm not gonna talk too much about him because he has nothing to do with this video, really. But I just wanted to explain like how he was really into ECW, and it just shocked me because ECW was just like because he's into like a lot of really like hood stuff, and ECW was just when I've watched ECW from like 1999 in 2000 when it was ECW on TNN. I watched a little bit of Hardcore TV when I could, but you know I never saw ECW as like ghetto or hood like he did. He was a huge fan of like New Jack. He would tell me like he fucked the hell out of Jazz and stuff, but Jazz was a female. For those of you who don't know, Jazz is a black female wrestler who was in ECW at the time, who was like really, she was rough around the edges too. I don't even want to compare her to China because I think that's like the closest comparison I can make. I wouldn't, I would probably compare her to like China or Jacqueline, but she was just a real rough, rowdy chick. But basically, he turned me on to that. So, and that's how I became an ECW fan. But yeah, most of my friends, my quote unquote clique, of friends, which wasn't that many. It was just like a few people who would, come over. We would play video games. We would play like Halo 2 when it first came out on the original Xbox. We didn't have Xbox Live, so we never played it online. We would watch wrestling, from the Attitude Era to the Ruthless Aggression Era. We would watch I had a friend who was actually a huge WCW fan at the time. His name was Carlos. I don't want to give his full name, but he was like a really nerdy Hispanic, but he was a cool guy. We would I remember one time he actually I he tried to trade me trade me this fake holographic Charizard Pokemon card. And it was fake too. He bought it for $3. It was this guy who had like these bootleg Pokemon cards and he was selling them. This type of ghetto neighborhood we grew up in. And but he tried to basically like trade me because I actually had some good cards. I'm not gonna tell you the whole story, but the point is, he was a cool guy despite him being kind of a dick, doing some dick moves. But you know, that's how it was for a while. We were cool friends. But and I had other friends too. But we would basically that was life for us. Until I got to high school. We would be interested in Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z, wrestling, stuff like that. And by the time I got into high school, I was still into Yu-Gi-Oh, Dragon Ball Z. I lost interest in Pokemon. This was when like Gold and Silver came out, and that was the last I remember about Pokemon. I just stopped playing after that. But I had some Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I had Blue Eyes White Dragon. I'm trying to remember some of the cards I had. Mystic Clown card. I had a few other. I had Red Eyes Black Dragon too. I had shit. It's hard for me to remember some of the cards I had, but basically, I stopped being interested in Yu-Gi-Oh like toward like GX, and I knew a kid in high school. He was like a huge nerd. He was like huge into both Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering, and he was um this well he was Hispanic kid, but he looked Asian. but I don't know. He was like telling me he was like Hispanic. His mom looks Hispanic. Um, because I remember he was basically he had Exodia. He had all 5 pieces of Exodia, which I don't know what the rules are now, but like he killed every single one of us in the cafeteria at lunchtime when it was time to play Yu-Gi-Oh. And basically, but I'm getting too far ahead of it. I want to kind of get to the point, but I'm just trying to give you guys like an idea of how I grew up and what I was doing in like my preteen, high school years and stuff like that. And basically, we'd bring like our Game Boy Advance SPs to school and stuff like that. We would play them in class. I would have like Sonic. I was a huge Sonic and Mega Man fan back then. I think a lot of you already know that, but I had like Mega Man Zero. My favorite in the series was Mega Man Zero too, but I had all um like the first 3 Mega Man Zero games. I heard there was a fourth one. I never played because I stopped playing Game Boy Advance like toward my junior year. So it was I kind of wish I didn't. And basically that's where the story is about to get a little south. Um, toward my junior year, um, I was hanging around this white guy, this really cool white kid I used to know, hang out with. And this was only during junior year too. This was only during. I mean, I saw him in freshman and sophomore year, but like we really started hanging out at lunch, like, and we had like a lot of the same classes during my junior year. Um, his name was Alan. I'm not gonna give his last name. All you need to know is his first name is Alan, and we were really cool. Um, and he had a Game Boy Advance SP too, but like that was the thing. Like during junior year, like he was really starting to get chicks. He was really trying to I had another friend by the name of Devin too. Same thing. You would think he's white, but he's actually Puerto Rican. But he was like a white Puerto Rican. He was like he had his hair was in a ponytail and stuff like that, but he looked white. It wasn't like what, typical you would see like a typical Puerto Rican with like more curly hair. No, he had like smooth like blonde hair, but he was Puerto Rican. And like both him, Alan, like they were really starting to try to get like chicks and stuff. They were really trying to get they were really trying to like get laid and go to parties and stuff. And I would always try to go like get involved because there would be like some really cute white chicks and stuff. There was cute like chicks of there would always be like cute white chicks, cute Hispanic chicks, but but basically, I like um they would never invite me. And it wasn't like we were like no longer friends and stuff, but they kind of had like a new clique. And basically like in high school they were just like trying to like they were doing like they were trying to get laid. They were getting they were talking about chicks and stuff. And we were talking about that too, and we were talking about like college at the time. We were talking about just different things, personal issues and stuff like that. But you know and this is really when I really started being a true introvert, because they would never invite me to parties. They would never like ask if I wanted to hang out or anything like that. We were only friends during school. Like that was it. Once school was over, like they went their own way, I went my own way. And that's kind of something like just kind of like deterred me, because I feel the same way at work too. It's just like at work people are cool to you, but like once we're off the clock, people don't talk to you. People don't care about you. People don't do shit for you. Don't like, they don't want to see you. They never ask you to come over or let's hang out or anything like that. And we're only friends at work. And me being a fucking a guy who's not really trying to make drama or anything like that, I would never really say anything. I was like, how come, because it would just like sound weird. And we just sound kind of gay and stuff, but that's why I never like really asked him like, oh, how come we only hang out in school? How come we never like? I didn't want to be that guy, so um, like, and whenever I would like say, oh, dude, let's hang out, let's go, here, stuff like that. They would be like, oh, well, I'm kind of busy, my mom wants me to do something, or they would make up some excuse or whatever. And so I literally tried to become somebody I wasn't during those years. I really tried to, I tried weed twice and I thought it was shit. I hated it. I started drinking, just nothing crazy, just some, like, no shots or anything like that, but just like beer and wine coolers. And, basically, like from then on, I was just like really depressed because I was really trying to, quote unquote, have a social life. And despite how hard I tried to fit in, you know, nobody ever gave a shit about me, And it wasn't like a bullying thing or like we think he's weird type of thing or like, anything like that. It was just like, people would always avoid me. So I don't know if it could have been race related or bigotry or I don't know. To this day I don't know. Like I seriously don't fucking know. But like um once I graduated from high school, basically that was it. Cuz what happened was I had gotten a new phone for graduation. Um and basically like I had like this was the summer of 2006 and I had like the shortest fucking summer vacation I've ever had. I hated I still like literally cuz graduation was like in late June and I only had July off. And then August, early August, I went to a school that I literally could not fucking stand. And I hated it with all my fucking heart. And this is like, or let me just tell you how this whole thing happened. Senior year, um, senior ditch day, no one invited me to go. So I stayed in school senior ditch day. And I was like literally like holy shit. And this senior year was when I met my friend Andrew, who like literally he was a really cool motherfucker. But I'm not again, not gonna give last names, but he was a really cool motherfucker. He was like literally and it was funny too, because I knew him since freshman year, but we never hung out that much because he was a real nerd. Like he was like always into his studies and stuff like that. He did not want to fail. All by the time senior year came, he had become the ultimate motherfucker slacker. He never went to class. He never did shit. Like if he would ever go to class, it would only be like the classes that I was in with him, and it was just because we became like best bros during senior year, and we were. I remember I brought in the 40-year-old virgin because he had a portable DVD player, and I got 40-year-old virgin on DVD for Christmas, and we also had like some other cool DVDs. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I had some wrestling DVDs too. What wrestling DVDs did I have? I had Royal Rumble 2004. I had Survivor Series 2003. I know that. I know for a fact because we were watching the match where Eric Bischoff versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. We were talking about like because wrestling started to suck that year, and we were literally talking about how kick-ass wrestling was, even like during like 2003 when Stone Cold was still around and stuff like that. The Rock was still around. Um, and I literally remember it was the one where Stone Cold, if his team didn't win at Survivor Series, it was like Rob Van Dam, the Dudleys, Booker T, who else? Shawn Michaels, and it was Eric Bischoff's team. It was Chris Jericho, Scott Steiner, Mark Henry, Christian, and somebody else. I forgot. Randy Orton. Randy Orton. That's who it was. How did I forget? Because Randy Orton pinned Shawn Michaels. How do I? I'm just literally trying to remember. But you know, basically, we would watch like DVDs. I had a backyard wrestling DVD too. Yeah, I was into that shit too. Um, we were watching that. We had we watched a bit of anime too, like not just Dragon Ball Z, but we were watching we watched Cowboy Bebop. I actually had this anime, and if you guys have never heard of it, let me show you a picture right now. Let me hold on. Give me 1 second. Oh shit, I don't have the picture. Um, Hold on. Let me see. Well, the anime was Guyver. And it was also a really cool manga, but I never really got into the manga. I only saw the OVA, and this is probably one of my favorite. Let me show you what the Guyver looks like. The Guyver is fucking badass. Um, you know, Hold on. Here's because I have to actually download a new picture and save it. I'm sorry, guys. I really should have had this prepared, but yeah, give me 1 second. All right, 2 seconds. Here we go. This is Guyver, and I don't know if any of you have ever watched this anime or read this manga. I recommend it like a motherfucker because it is awesome. It's basically like this kid named Sho. He finds the Guyver suit, and he's an alright kid, but he basically finds the Guyver suit, and they find out about this company called Kronos, which is basically wants to like take over the world with these monsters called the Zonoids, and basically it's up to the Guyver to try to kill all these monsters as possible, and it gets really deep. The OVA actually gets pretty deep toward like the end because it shows like the relationship between Sho and his girlfriend and how he really how she's like really depressed because she doesn't like the way the future's going, like because once a human because becoming a zoonoid is like becoming a zombie. Like once a person becomes a zoonoid, they can never turn human again. They have to be killed, period. And it's actually a very deep OVA. I've heard the manga was better, and like it concluded, and I might have to read the manga one day. But the OVA, like I really wish they would have made more episodes for it because it's only 12 episodes. And I had that on DVD, and we would watch that. We would watch like old school Dragon Ball Z. We would watch Rurouni Kenshin. We would watch anime, wrestling, just stuff that we were into, because he was actually into like some really cool shit, and he actually stopped being into wrestling. Like I was still a wrestling fan my senior year, even though I hated it. And I remember too, I was trying to get tickets to see ECW One Night Stand 2006, but long story short, I had to basically go down to what would be the worst college I've ever been to, because basically they had it was I remember it was in June, and they wanted us to come down for a visit, and just to see like the housing, and we were supposed to get some paperwork done, student loan bullshit, but basically, yeah, long story short, I couldn't go to ECW One Night Stand 2006. So yeah, I didn't see it live. I heard about it and I was pissed that I missed it. So I couldn't get tickets, and long story short. Plus, I didn't have a lot of money that time, cuz another thing I was trying to do during my the summer of 2005 before my senior year, I was trying to go to Six Flags and ride King to cuz I'm a huge roller coaster buff. And I was also trying to get an Xbox 360 because I at the time was a huge Halo fan, and I knew Halo 3 was going to be on the 360. And Halo 3 ended up being a piece of shit game. I don't care what you say, it was short. The online was the only good thing about that game. That game was such a letdown. And after Halo 2, that was a huge letdown. That was a huge letdown in my opinion. But and I also wanted the sequel to Perfect Dark because I was a huge fan of the original Perfect Dark for the N64. So I thought Perfect Dark Zero was going to be awesome. Boy, was I wrong. But yeah, those were like the two launch games I ended up getting. It was Perfect Dark Zero and Quake 4. And I got Dead or Alive 4 later. But, that was a really great fighting game. Quake 4 was good too, except the loading times were long and it wasn't as good as the PC version. But, basically that's what I was kind of doing. Just to give you a little background. And I wanted to ride King Dakar and Nitro again for anyone who lives in the Northeast or who's into roller coasters. Um, Six Flags Great Adventure. It's a really cool amusement park. They have roller coasters. Carnivals, arcade. Well, not carnivals, like other rides, like bump cars, shit. It's an amusement park. Arcade and shit, food, all that crap. But I was huge into roller coasters, and I wanted to ride King of Ka for the first time because that was the year it came out, summer 2005, well, spring of 2005. But I wanted to ride it. I never got a chance to ride it because it broke down like twice, and I was pissed. And so I just ended up riding Nitro like 3-4 times, and that basically got me over the fact that I didn't get to ride King of Ka. And had I fast forward like 3 years later in 2008, next time I went to Great Adventure, I would have been like, wow, I can't believe I wasted 3 hours of the day on this shit because that ride was such a letdown. Kingdom Come was a letdown. I don't give a fuck what you say. It was a letdown for anybody who's out there who's scared of roller coasters. Trust me, it's not that scary. It's really not. Kingdom Come is a joke. Literally, the highlight of the ride is when you go all the way up. Once you start going down, it twists and it's not as scary. Anyone who's rode Kingdom Ka knows what I'm talking about. All right, that roller coaster is not scary at all. But, and it's short. It's real fucking short. It was a letdown. Nitro and El Toro are the best rides at Six Flags. I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. But let's get back to the story here. This is going to be a long ass video because I'm not even close to done. And I don't really feel like doing a two-parter. And we're almost at 30 minutes, so. But basically, I couldn't go to ECW One Night Stand. But, we were like me and Andrew, we were really cool friends. He had stopped watching wrestling. But one of the reasons that pissed me off, because I had a phone, and he never had a cell phone. His family was poor. Well, they weren't poor, but they were I don't know. He said his parents wouldn't get him one, and he didn't have a job to buy one on his own or anything like that, but he had a portable DVD player, and I just didn't really care. And basically we would just watch DVDs during lunchtime. We would literally we would just watch DVDs. We would hang out and this was one of the first friends I ever knew from school who from high school, because I did have people from junior high who would hang out on occasion. We would go to each other's houses, but this was the first kid who we would hang out outside of school, because everybody else only school. They were only friends during school hours. After that, they don't know you. And we were really tight because we used to always go to we used to go to Barnes and Nobles and read video game magazines and mangas and stuff like that. And the Barnes and Nobles was actually a few blocks away from our school, from our high school. And basically we would always meet up. There was one time we ended up taking the train all the way to closer by my neighborhood, because he lived in Brooklyn. At the time, lived in the Bronx, and we went to my neighborhood because we were like we were huge fans of White Castle. We were just White Castle, and to this day, White Castle is probably my second favorite food. It's a tie. It's pizza and White Castle are my favorite fucking foods. So fuck all you asshole racists who think I'm a stereotypical black guy who loves fried chicken and soul food. Go fuck yourselves. But yeah, we were huge fans of White Castle. And we would always hang out like on occasion. Like we never really went to each other's houses because I heard that his family, like he had a pretty bad relationship with his mom. Um, but well, not a well, I don't know what the whole story was. It was kind of he was just always like complaining about his mom being like a real bitch, and like we never really he never came to my house that much either because at the time we were just it was it was just like too far, because if he came to my house, then we would have to go. Like when we went to White Castle, we would always do it like after class, and then he would always have to like go right home afterwards. And anybody who knows anything about New York City transportation, you know, the fact that it's always fast is a myth. There are times when it's fucking slow, and if you have to travel from like the Bronx to Brooklyn, it's gonna take about 2 hours, depending on if there's like shit going on, if the MTA's got shit going on or whatever. But because he lived far out in Brooklyn and I lived far out in the Bronx, and basically, and our high school was the High School of Art and Design in Manhattan, so um, we it was in Manhattan, so like that's one of the reasons why like we knew each other from school because we both commuted to Manhattan. But you know, basically, graduation came. I don't know what happened to him because I didn't even see him the last day of school, and I didn't have his number or anything like that, so I couldn't like call him or text him or whatever. And and texting was not even like a huge thing back then. I really mean call him because text like it started coming up in the mid 2000s, but it really didn't become a thing until like later on. But that's yeah. And plus, my phone, like, it was like so hard to text with it because I had a fucking flip phone at the time, and so it wouldn't. And plus, I didn't have so it made no sense. So, but yeah, and I didn't even see him the last day of school. I couldn't even like tell him like, man, good luck, man, or whatever. And like all of a sudden, last day of school comes. I don't see him at graduation because I don't think he graduated. He really started slacking off during senior year. So I think he might have had to go to summer school. I don't know. It's still a mystery to me to this day. But you know, basically, and that's just when everything went downhill. Like after that, like literally, it was like a short, brief period of just like coolness, just like, and then I went back to like complete introvert status, which was like, like, and when I had to, when, and the reason, um, I'm gonna mention this school's name. It's Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. You can look it up for yourself, and it is a historically black college. Now, my mom, and there's a part of me that just says, oh my God, fuck you for making me go to this school, this ratchet, ghetto ass school. But my mom thought it would be a good idea to go to an all black school. Yeah, go figure. You know, but basically she was like, oh no, this school is not ghetto, because that was my mentality. I thought, because I went to the junior high school I went to was predominantly black and Hispanic. So I'm thinking like Lincoln University, that's going to be a ghetto school. That's one of the reasons why I really tried to go to art and design, because I didn't want to go to my the high school that was in my neighborhood. So because I've been around blacks and Hispanics, and with the exception of a very few, a lot of them are just too fucking wild, and that is the truth, especially when they're kids and teenagers, and that's the fucking truth. You can't debate me with that. And basically, like, I had like a lot of reservations about going to Lincoln University, and basically, my mom was like, oh, because that was the only school that I had gotten accepted to. My first two choices, Manhattanville College up in um whatchamacallit, Purchase. Was it Purchase? Anyway, Manhattanville College and SUNY Purchase. Because Manhattanville and SUNY Purchase were like not too far away from each other. Those were my first two choices. Because at first I was thinking about leaving the state because I was sick of New York, and I'm still sick of fucking New York to this day. But you know, basically, I was like, it's in the suburbs, so, and it looks like a nice campus. Manhattanville looked like a really nice campus. SUNY Purchase was, it was okay. But, Manhattanville was the school I really wanted to get accepted into, and I didn't get accepted into it. And I was just like so pissed, and I got accepted into Lincoln University because I'm applying to Lincoln University, saying like, well, you know what, hopefully I won't get accepted into it because my perception, I'm still thinking like it's just a black school. I don't want black women. I don't want. I don't care if anyone finds this offensive. You could turn the video off right now. I don't want. I did not want black women then. I don't want them now. You know, I don't give a shit. And basically, I get accepted, and I'm like literally. I think my facial expression was, I was watching this not too long ago on YouTube, was when Vince McMahon found out that Ric Flair was like the new co-owner of the WWE, WWF back then. The night after Survivor Series 2001. If you know Vince McMahon's facial expression when he like, and I know it was acting, but when he found out Ric Flair was going to be his business partner, anybody who knew, who saw that episode of Raw, who's a wrestling fan, that was my exact same expression. I was like literally like pulling my ear, like, oh my god, this is so great. Like in such a sarcastic manner. Like I literally did not want to fucking go to that school. And I knew like literally, and then when I went down there, I saw that it was in like a nice rural area, and I was kind of like, maybe it won't be so bad. It's in the country. It's in a rural area. It's not New York, and I'm sick of fucking the city. I'm sick of taking the train and the bus all the fucking time. Um, you know, so I go to Lincoln University first semester, and it's worse than I could have imagined. I literally, I thought it was gonna be ratchet. It was beyond my expectations of shit. And I recommend any of you who are younger audience, younger teenagers who are going to college, do not go to a historically black college. Don't go to any college with a high rate of black people. I don't care if this sounds self-hating or not. I don't care if I sound like a coon or not. This is the truth. Do not go to a black college. Do not go to a predominantly black college. Don't. Trust me. If your mom forces, don't do it. Tell your mom, no, I don't want to, and force her to accept that, which was what I should have done. But because I was I was very introverted back then, and I was just like, I'll go with the flow, whatever, hopefully it won't be that bad. No, it was shit. It was a fucking nightmare. It was literally a nightmare, you know. And like I even remember, like at the time I was looking at some of the some of the dormitories, the housing there. Um, and I remember one of them that looked just like the fucking projects up here in New York. And I was like, shit, fuck, do not put me in this. I remember the name of it too, Macquarie. Do not fucking put me in that dorm. Do not put me in that housing. I was just like keeping my fingers crossed because there were other nicer, better housings for freshmen at that school, and I was just like keeping my fingers crossed. No, I swear to God, I will never be. I will, literally, I will never. I would be so pissed. And this, oh my goodness, there are some horror stories I can tell you, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to get too much into it, but it was trust me, take my word for it. It was a bad school. All right, it was. It was it was a very fucking ratchet school. Um, people there or like oh my god, like literally there was like a few cool people there. Um, but other than that, it was oh my god, I hated that school so much. I hated like literally I literally I mean, going to a school like that, and I don't give a shit. Going to a school like that can make anybody want to be racist against black people. I swear to God, that is the truth. If you. So basically, long story short, I'm having like suicidal thoughts. Literally. I'm not kidding either. This is serious. I'm starting to have suicidal thoughts. And, I'm just like literally, like, holy shit. I just want to kill myself. I just want to die. I just want to get the fuck out of this school. I'm contemplating suicide. And this is something I've never done previous to that, nor since. Nor since. And, I'm just like literally like my roommate wasn't that bad, but he was always partying and shit, and it was just a nightmare. I stayed inside my dorm whenever I didn't have class. I literally just stayed in that dorm like whenever I didn't have class. Like on occasion, I would go to the food area and get food, but that was it. That was basically it. I never left that fucking dorm like at all. I would just and I remember cuz first semester wasn't supposed to bring any of my video games. I couldn't bring my PS2, I couldn't bring my 360. Um and this was before I got a PS3. This was before PS3 even came out. And I remember being pissed like fuck PS3. It's $600. It's gay. And like I was just like pissed, but um but this was before I got my PS3. So I had a PS2 and a 360. This was before it red ringed. So I wasn't supposed to bring any of those. I wasn't supposed to bring any of that. Because my parents, who like literally at the time just did not get where the fuck I was coming from, because I'm an introvert, and the black culture is nowhere for an introvert to be. And that is a fact. I don't care how you want to fucking dice it, but the stereotypical black culture is nowhere for an introvert to be. Period. And these idiots. I love my parents, but well, my mom and my stepdad, but they were idiots and they were wrong. And they were like, "You don't bring any video games. We want you to socialize, and we don't want you being a hermit. We don't want you." And I didn't give a shit. I snuck my PS2 in one of my suitcases. It was a slim. I had the slim model, and I basically snuck it in like in between some of my shirts, and I snuck in my games. I basically like just put them in my CD case. Like I had like this like a CD pouch where it's like a thing where you like put music in, like you can put your music CDs or any CDs or DVDs in. I put them in that, and I just put it in my luggage and I took it anywhere. I didn't like cuz literally I'm so glad I did too. I'm so fucking glad I did. And um and they never found out that I brought the PS2 there, but because I remember when they came to visit, I would like unhook the PS2 and just put it in my drawer. So they never knew I had it, but it just like literally for any fucking parent out there, especially black parents, do not fucking force your kids to be extroverted if they are introverted and they do not like to dance, listen to rap music, or do all that other overly social bullshit. Oh my god, man, this was just and then long story short, I try to come out of my shell. Yeah, I try to have a social life. I try to talk to other people and have a social life. And basically, it was a lot of recreational drug use, weed, drinking. There was no crack, too. Like, that's one thing. There's like a lot of stereotypical, like, oh my God, black people love crack and all that. No, there was no crack there. There was no acid or anything like that. It was just weed and like shots and stuff. Like, motherfuckers, like, there was like Hennessy. I remember there being like a whole shitload of Hennessy at this party. Um, it was a really bad experience, but because I was trying to have a social life, I ended up going with my roommate. And yeah, long story short, I hated it. I literally went right back to my dorm, like not too long after. I remember he came in like later on, like hours later, like about 3 o'clock in the morning. He was like, "Dude," he wasn't like, "Dude." He was like, "Yo, man, where were you at? Where'd you go?" And I was just telling him like, "Oh man, I just wasn't feeling well." So I just like left it at that. I was like, "Oh man, it took a lot of shots. I pretended to take shots, which I didn't. I only had a beer." And to this day, like, because of some of the experiences that I've had, even after Lincoln University, I am straight edge and I will never drink again and I will never do any drugs again. Any illegal drugs. No. The only thing I will take is caffeine because I love soda. And I'm even trying to cut back on that because it's not healthy. But that's it. Soda, and that's it. And I still have this Guyver picture posted up. But, basically, I'm going to kind of cut the story short because we're already at 46 minutes here. But basically, you know, a lot of, the moral of the story is, I've always felt alone. And that's one of the reasons why I can relate to this dude's video. This fucking Robert Perkins. I know he used to go by the N-word with tattoos, revolutionary with tattoos, because I would always see him arguing with Tommy Sotomayor, and I kind of wanted to check out his channel and see what he was about, because I actually saw a recent video with him and Tommy Sotomayor kind of getting along, talking about the black community, and basically I wanted to check out what this guy was all about, because I've seen some of his videos in the past and they were just like really like all this pro black shit. So I wanted to kind of give his channel another chance, because he said he made like some videos talking about different things in the black community, and I was kind of interested and curious. So I checked out his channel again, and that's how I found this video, because I was interested just by the title alone, like but and that's one of the reasons why I've always felt alone. I've just never, whenever I had friends, I would always lose contact with them. Whenever I, tried to fit in and have a social life and be popular, that type of shit. I always felt completely unhappy. I always felt like I was just doing it. I was just putting on airs and trying to front and all that shit. And I never ever felt happy doing that shit ever. And it was just I started like saying like, wow, like you guys are still you're like out of, like, even people at work now, it's like, you fuck, that's all you do is like literally like drink and smoke and shit. And it's like, serious, that's it. And watch sports. It's like, come the fuck on. That's all you do? I'm like, and the chicks you talk about, I don't even like talking about chicks with some of my coworkers, because they talk about some of these ugly black chicks, and they're ugly. They're not attractive at all. Like, the closest thing to an attractive black chick they were talking about was Gabriel Union. But they were talking about some like rat shit like Nicki Minaj and some ugly fake ass having cunts and shit. Like, literally, they have horrible taste in women. I don't care. And that's basically that's it. That's one of the reasons why I've always been introverted. I've just never been a fan of like extroverted people. I've always hated them with a passion. I don't care if they're nice people or not. I just never liked them. even if they were nice, even if an extroverted person was nice, and be like, hey, you want to come to a party? Which I've gotten recently once I gotten older and was old enough to drink and stuff like that. I would just be like, nah, I don't want to go. My cousin actually invited me over to a New Year's Eve party, earlier this year, and I literally just faked like I was sick because I did not want to fucking go. And that's my story. Um, actually, it's a longer story than that, but that's all I'm gonna really give right now because we're at 50 minutes, and you know, what do you guys think? Literally, leave your fucking comments. I'm serious this time. Leave your comments. Like, this isn't just me saying leave your comments. Like, how would you describe yourself? An introvert? An extrovert? How would you describe yourself? Like, what are you into? Like, literally, I kind of want to get to know some of my subscribers. I'm dead serious. I've seen, like, I have some really good ones, like, Mav, Mav, I can't pronounce it, but he knows who he is. Darker Phoenix, another cool dude. I really want to meet him in real life one day. Um, you know, um, that's basically it. That's the end of the story for now. I might update it. I might tell you a little bit about after Lincoln University on a later note. But that's basically. I'm at 51 minutes, so I kind of want to, like, this is just like a video to, like, rant, because I've never really, and this is the thing, like, in Robert Perkins' video, he talks about how he was once in the clique. He was once a quote unquote coon. He was a coon, and like he was cooning, and he was like talking sports and women and stuff like that. And I was just never into sports aside from wrestling and a little bit of MMA, but I just never cared about sports like that. And of course, I would love talking about women, but I don't want to sound like a pervert on here. And plus the type of women I'm into, they're not into. Like, I even had a guy from college I was talking to. I remember telling him, like, oh yeah, like, Tori Wilson was hot, and he was like, oh no, like, I'm not into white chicks. And he was like, literally. So, all again, that stereotype that all black guys are into white chicks, that is not true. But you know, that's it. That I just want to end the video here. Leave your comments. Did you go through a similar situation? What are your thoughts? That's it. I'm done for this video. Later.